Hi guys, this is Zino. Thought I'd make a little video to help you guys start with the CJ2. You know, it's my favorite airplane. And at first it might seem intimidating because of the FMS in it and all the buttons and switches. So I thought I'd first start by teaching you a little bit about the FMS. Because in this airplane you don't have a GPS, you have an FMS, Flight Management System, or FMC, Flight Management Computer. And to know how to work with the FMC or FMS, you need to know a little bit about navigation or navigating routes in FSX or in aviation. So I thought I'd start by doing this. Uh, We'll ignore all the SIDS and stars and approaches. All of you guys can line up an airplane with the airport, with the runway and land visually, even with an ILS. So we'll ignore that part for now. All we're going to concentrate on is the routes. That means the cruise. So what we fly between airports. And for that, we cannot fly that visually. We have to use a GPS or something else like a Little Nav Map or some type of aid like that. So what we're going to do first is we're going to show you how to enter a route or what a route is and how to enter it in the FMS and in a Little Nav Map. So a Little Nav Map, you know, I like to use that. You can create your flight plan in there, but it's not as convenient as sky vectors. I prefer sky vectors. So I'll show you a little bit about sky vectors and then we'll jump back to the Little Nav Map afterwards, and then finally to the FMC. So first of all, sky vectors, for those of you who use it, it's not that complicated, but if you're new to it, it might be a little confusing at first. What you see there, all those dots, they're colored dots. All those are weather stations. So when they're green, it means that's VFR. You have a great visibility to fly, and when it's colored like red and purple and blue, then the weather starts to kick in, and you have to use IFR sometimes to fly there. So we can declutter the map and get rid of all that. If you look at the top here, you'll see there's a layers link. If you open this, you have all these weather text weathers that I click on here, or just over above. You just uncheck that and you'll get rid of that. And same thing for the temporary flight restrictions or NOTAMs. You just uncheck that, get rid of that, and all the segments too. We don't need that for now. And then you can just click back here or click the X here and close that. Now, if you look at the map, you'll see there's a little plus sign or cross right in the middle of your screen. If I move the map, that cross is not going to move. Okay, you'll see it better if I move it over a light area instead of a dark area. Or if I put it over the water, you'll see it clearly here. So whenever you look for an airport, if you type the airport in the box up here, the map will move until the airport is right under that X. So let's say we want to find LAX. We'll type KLAX and then enter. You can see it's a little hard to see, but if I zoom in, see that LAX right around that cross there. LAX here. Okay. So what you have here is a VFR map. Okay, at the top here you have a bunch of sections, or don't recall how you call them, but you have different types of maps here. You have LA West, LE for helicopters. You have Los Angeles TAC, Los Angeles Fly, and all those. Usually by default you'll be on VFR, but the ones we're going to use today are World Low and World I. Okay, world low and world high are routes that you want to fly between airports. If you zoom in, we're on world low here. See all these black lines and blue lines. Those are all airways. Victor ways or Victor airways or V routes, whatever you want to call them, they all start with the letter V. So all the black lines here have the letter V in front of the route number. That's a Victor airway or V route. And those are usually flown below 18,000. So if you fly a Baron 58 with non-pressurized cabin, you want to fly below 14,000 or 16,000, those are the airways you're going to use. If you fly a jet that can fly in higher altitudes and flight levels above 18,000, then you would fly in the jet airways. So those start with the letter J. Notice the blue ones also, they have numbers that starts with Q for the higher altitudes and start with the letter T for lower altitudes. Those are for RNAV equipped airplanes. So if you notice here, all the black lines, they all connect from a VOR to a VOR. Okay, so these can be flown without a GPS, just with your nav radio. Know how to fly VORs, you can make your way from VOR to VOR and know where you're at. If you want to use only GPS, well, you also have the blue routes available to you. But we're going to concentrate on the black ones for now, the V routes. So over here at the top, you'll see you have a link for flight plan. If you click on that, it will open a flight plan. And in here you can type your route, your departure airport, and destination. I will ignore the airports for now. I just want to show you how the routes work. And the routes work basically just the same way as any road maps. So if you ask me how to go to the bank, I'm going to ask you, okay, where are you departing from? Where do you start? Where do you live? And you'll tell me, okay, I live on Main Street. Well, okay. So I'll tell you from Main Street, go up to, I don't know, Silver Street, and then turn right on Silver Street, and then go up to Meadow Street, and then turn left, and drive for another 2 kilometers, and the bank will be there. So those are the instructions I'm going to give you. So when you fly a route in airway, it's the same thing. You're going to use VORs and waypoints and distances to find your way. So if let's say I want to fly from LAX to Las Vegas, okay, so we're going to ignore the airports, but we're just going to look at the routes that are around there. So let's go back to LAX. You see my cross is here, so LAX is over here. There's a VOR here, there's another VOR here. So let's say we departed LAX and we fly to the VOR, Seal Beach VOR, SLI. So let's say we're going to start from SLI and we want to fly up to, this is the Paradise VOR. That's one section of the route we want to fly. So we're going to come here in the box where the route is, and we're going to type SLI space, and Paradise is PDZ, so PDZ tab, and you'll see that we'll draw a line between these two. So that's one route, that's one section, and it's a direct, so the only thing you see between the two is an arrow. And you see here the lead. When I put my cursor on the arrow, the route eliminates. Now if I go to the nav log, that will give you the waypoints of your route. And the only thing we see is the two VORs, SLI and PDZ. If we go back here, and you look closely at this route, you'll see that there's waypoints in between. Okay, so you have Aheim, have another one here that's Ollie, one there. You have POXQ, and you have eByte. Those are the waypoints that are on this route. So if I go here and I type Aheim, it's not going to change my route, but it's going to put a waypoint in between. Okay, I can't do that for all the waypoints, but you can see it's time consuming. Instead, if you look at the V route numbers, you have 21 here, V21 there. So that route could be named 21. It also has other numbers, but don't worry about those for now. Some routes have many numbers because they're routes that merge together. So let's stick to the 21 for now. So we'll go here, instead of putting Mayheim, we'll put V21 space and tab. This one here, V21 space and tab. And now you see I have the exact same thing, okay? Just a line going from SLI VOR to the PDZ VOR. But if I go in Navlog, that now it added all the waypoints between those two VORs. It did it for me just by putting V21, the route number, between those 2 points. So the same thing as if you ask me to go to the bank, I tell you go from this street to this street, and then go from this street to another street, and so on. I can give you many street numbers, many routes that'll bring you to the bank. So the same thing happens here. So let's say we want to continue on V21, and V21 goes all the way up to the Hector VOR. So we can go and say, okay, continue on V21 space HEC tab, and that will add another portion of the route from Paradise VOR to Hector VOR. If I go back to my navlog, see that now I have all the waypoints between SLI and Paradise, and now you have also the waypoints between Paradise and Hector. So now it becomes really easy to put all these waypoints in your FMS. If you just type this much, all those waypoints that you see in the navlog will be added to your FMS. Yes, or whatever you want to call it. It replaces you. Yes, it's an FMS or FMC. So if you keep doing that, you can go a pretty good way like that. Keep following this route, V21, you'll see it's pretty long. I tried to follow it and it goes all the way to Canada. Okay, if you keep going and going up here to that TCH, and up here V21 all the way to Malad City, and it goes all the way here going this direction, and then it turns left ear, goes up to Dubois, and then keeps going V21 all the way to the Whitehall VOR. V21 goes up here, all the way up here, and it goes left here, bank, and now we're at the Canada border. Goes all the way up YQL. Let's, instead of putting all these sections there, I just put V21 from SLI to YQL tab. Look at that, I got 1,000 nautical miles route. All I did was enter 2 waypoints with the route number. Get this route. That's your route from Seal Beach all the way to Canada. Just 3 things you entered. If you click on Navlog, now have 4 pages of waypoints put in your FMS for you, just by typing those 3 coordinates. But you can see how it becomes easy to enter a route. And now you don't have to stay on V21. Let's say you want to fly V21 up to here it is, Fairfield, FFU. Okay, so we'll put FFU tab. Okay, let's try that again. V21 FFU tab. Sometimes you have to do it from scratch. Now you see the route stops here at Fairfield, and from SLI to Fairfield we flew Victor Airway 21. But from here, instead of going north, we want to start going east. So we'll go here and say, okay, we have a new route here. We'll leave Victor 21 and switch to Victor 235, and we'll fly Victor 235 up to the Fort Bridger VOR, and then it's going to switch to another route. So let's put V235 and FBR. So 235 space FBR tab. Okay, so now it had this section. This was a short one. Now let's say we want to keep going. We have Victor 6, Victor 6, Victor 6, Victor 6, Victor 6. Let's say we want to fly Victor 6 all the way to the Sydney VOR SNY. So we'll go here and add Victor 6 space SNY tab. And now it added this portion of the route. You put your cursor on V6, you'll see the portion of the route that represents Victor Airway 6. If you put your cursor on V35, that's the other portion, and one is this portion. So you can see your route is made up of several airways. So that's how you enter a route. Now let's say we want to land, depart here from KLAX, so we'll LAX here, or this for now. That's this departure. Now, so when you have an arrow like this, that means you fly direct. So from KLAX to SLI, it's going to be direct. So if you go here and zoom in, it's a straight line between KLAX and SLI here. Now let's say at the end, let's click on SNY. Want to land at LCNP, so let's put KCNP tab. The N as VOR in our route is Sydney, and then it's direct, see the here, to the airport, Billy G. Ray Field. So that's how you would put it in your FMC. Let's try that, but first I'll show you how to put it in Little Nav Map. So what we do, we just grab the route here. We know the airport, KLAX and KCNP, and this we're gonna copy, and then we'll switch over to Little Nav Map. Now make sure you got a new flight plan, so it's nothing in there, out of there. Okay, so to create a flight plan from what we just took in Sky Vector, you just go to flight plan, and then you go to new flight plan from route description. It'll open a box with two areas here. The first area, that's where you enter your route description, and then it will create a flight plan from that. So if I go here and right click and paste what I just copied from Sky Vector, it gives me my route. Now all I have to do is add KCNP and KLAX. Now you click on read route description. It tells us that it found 57 waypoints between or on this route. So from KLAX to Ray. Distance is 984 nautical miles. So now I just click at the bottom, create flight plan, and there's your flight plan in Little Nav Map. All 57 waypoints are there. You go to Sky Vectors and go to the nav log. You see the route resembles. Nav log. Compare all these waypoints. If you have the same thing in both Little Nav Map and Sky Vectors as of updated waypoints, you should have pretty much the same thing. Okay. Now, if we want to put that in our FMC, all we have to do is type the departure airport, the destination, and this route here. That's all we need to put in the FMC, and it's going to give us all this entire route. So we'll switch to the airplane. Now, when you get in the airplane in the CJ2, it might be cold and dark, or it might be already running. If you press Shift 8, you just click ready for taxi. It'll start it up for you if it's not already started. Eye on the engines here, you'll see the fuel is being baited or given to the engines automatically. I'm not clicking anything here. Okay. And we're going to pull up the MC. Okay, so what you want to do is go to the flight plan here. And we're going to start entering our route. So we know we depart from KLAX. It's going to be our departure or origin, as it's called here. Destination is KCNP. So K. So destination. Now here you have a 2 box. What you put in there is the first waypoint on your route. So in our case, it's SLI. SLI. There. Now you got to pay attention here. If you have numerous SLI over the world, it's going to give you different ones, and you have to look for the region, which is the 2 letters here. So if we go back to Little Nav Map, come to SLI here and just put our cursor on it. Yeah, okay. If you look at in the middle, there's a region. It says K2, Kilo 2. That's the region we want to use. Okay, US usually is the letter K. Europe will be a letter L or something like that. So you have to pay attention to that. So now we're going to go back to here, and we're going to look for K2. So if we go to previous or next here, you see we have 2 pages. So we're going to go to the next page, and you see K2 here. That's the one we want. You can also use the latitude and longitude to identify it, or the frequency. It says VD, that means a VOR DME. We're going to click here next to SLI. That's going to be added to our route. Now you see you have 2 pages here. After you've entered the first waypoint, you have to go to page 2. Click next. This is where we're going to enter the rest of the route. So from SLI, if we go to Sky Vectors again, see that we have Victor 21 and FFU for the next VOR. So we'll go back and enter that. So we'll go here. Via Victor 21 we'll go to FFU. So Victor 21, and now it wants to have this. That's why it says there's discontinuity. It wants to know how long we want to stay on that route, up to where. So it's going to be FFU. So FFU. There we go. Now we can go and add the rest of the route, which is Victor 235. 5. Gonna be up to FBR. Foxtrot Bravo Romeo. Go. Then the last portion of the route is going to be Victor 6. So airway up to Sydney SNY. And there we go. Now if we go back to that was our flight plan. Okay, we'll go back to the flight plan. It doesn't show anything here, but if you go to the legs, now you'll see all the waypoints, and you have 12 pages of them. Go to next. All these should match if you have the correct database installed. It should match the entire route. That's how you enter a route in the FMC. So if you want to fly the FMC, that's your GPS, you'll need to know a few little things about this screen here. I'll pull it up here. And autopilot here, Shift 3 brings up this window. This is a combination of this part here and part here, this and this. Okay, you see all this is down here and all this is up here, and the reason I use this is because it's very hard, if I don't have that, to look down here, turn the knobs and look at the numbers change here. Unless I have this, I don't always have this pulled up here, so I like to use this. Or if you want to do it this way, you can pull this by clicking at the top and then move your here and then change your numbers here and then go back up here and then activate different buttons here. So that I find it cumbersome, so I like to, instead of using Shift 3 and everything is there. So here your heading button is here, your heading knob is here. And if you want to fly the GPS, you have to use nav, just like in other aircrafts. It's pretty much the same. And you see it says FMS nav off. It's off now, but it flies the FMS because you don't have a GPS. It's your FMS that it's going to fly. So if you look up here, that's what's active. By default, it's the FMS that's active. Okay. If you don't want to fly the FMS, you want to fly an ILS or a VOR, then you have to use something else, which is here. And by default, it's preset to VOR2. I would like it to be a VOR1 by default, but it's VOR2. Now to change this, you use the knobs here, right of this window. Get rid of that, it's double. Just going to zoom in on that, and I'll get rid of that. So here you have a button, a couple of buttons at the top, a couple of buttons at the bottom. The top one, the yellow one, if you use your mouse wheel, change from FMS to VOR1 to VOR2. So VOR1 is your nav1 frequency, which is over here. One here, that's the active side, that's the standby side, and that's your switch. And you can change those by using the knobs here. Frequency here, and switch it. How you do it, and that'll be what you have here, but it's not active, it's only preset. If you want it to go up here, you have to click the soft key here. Now you see that the FMS that was there is down here, and your VOR is up here. 13.7 is what you have here. So we'll leave it on FMS. That's what we want to fly. And you'll see here you have some waypoints and you have airports and circles, and it's a little cluttered, so we'll pull up the FMS again and we'll go to the MFD menu, and you'll see here display. If you click on that, everything that's pink is showing on your map. Okay, so you got VORs, you got airports, and you got your waypoints. So if I remove that here, and if I click VORs, the VORs appear and disappear. If I click airports, you'll see the airport disappear, and you're left with only your route. Okay. Now if you want to fly a certain leg of the route, you can also go direct. First waypoint is SLI, which is normal. That's the first waypoint from the airport. And you want to check your flight plan. Like here, you only see part of your flight plan. You can use the range button here. That's the yellow one. See that? If I roll this up, that means I want to see more data, so the map will zoom out to show me more. If I keep going like that, you'll see the entire route. It goes up to 640 nautical miles, so not quite enough to see the entire route. What about if you want to see the end of the route? Okay, well, if you keep rolling up, it'll jump back to 5 and 10, and you keep going up. Let's see, let's go to 40. I like to fly with 40 or 80. What I like to fly with. Now, over here on the MFD here, you look here, you have a format button, and you also have one here, but they're not the same. This one shows rows, arc, and map. This one shows rows, arc, present position, and plane. So we want the plane. We want to see our flight plane. So here you go to the top knobs, not the bottom one, but the top and the blue one here, and you scroll up with your mouse wheel until you're on plane. Then you go to the inner knob and you click. Don't roll, you click, left click. Okay, so now you have your plane with the nord up. So now you're able to scroll through the plane. So we'll bring back up the FMS and we'll go to the MFD Advance, and you'll see 3 options here. The 2 is the next waypoint we're going to fly to. So if you're in the middle of your flight plan, let's say the next waypoint is somewhere here, and you click 2, it's going to show you that waypoint. So your airplane should be between this last waypoint you just passed and the next one you're going towards. If you want to just skip through the flight plan, well, you can use the next waypoint. So if you click next and then next, it's going to center the next waypoint on that window. Next, and then you can go through all your flight plan like that. If you want to see more details or less data, you just go to the range button here and roll down. And nautical miles, we can go all the way down to 5. And that goes back up to 640. Scroll around. So at 5, then you see very well all the waypoints separated. And if we keep going next, you can check your entire waypoint like that. All the way to the end. We have 50 some waypoints. I'm not going to do them all. If you want to go back up, you go previous. Goes back. Okay. Pretty much it for now that I want to explain to you. The next thing is just learn to fly the airplane and use the autopilot to fly the flight plane, and I'll try to make a video out of that next time. So hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions, well, you know how to reach me.